So let's talk about this Margate, Florida incident that just happened a few weeks ago. You have a armed security guard providing security services to a private school. The school is an actual very critical location as a result of most recently here in the US there have been attacks, serious attacks against schools and specifically schools that are ideological schools, whether it be Islamic or Hebrew or Israel, Jewish. There have been attacks. So the legitimacy of the security contract to provide those services is given. The issues are that now these armed guards are doing something other than what the scope of their contract. Now they're providing traffic control. Why? Because the school is located in a place or an area where it's highly congested and it's just not, when it comes to traffic, it's just not the best place for people to enter and egress from, right? So obviously there's another part to this, and I'm going to talk about it as far as responsibility. So the security guard's involved in providing traffic control and finds himself in a situation where he's struck by a vehicle. Maybe at low speeds, but the person that's driving the vehicle is obviously upset that the security guard is controlling traffic and uses his vehicle as a weapon. And so, what do you think the security guard does? He's got guns. He's got guns on him. Which now, when you look at videos, you could see that the driver of the vehicle is also carrying a firearm. And anyway, long story short, no, there's no better situation to explain the fact that just because you have a gun doesn't mean you're right. Whether you're working security or you're a bystander, just that the responsibility of carrying a firearm is a big deal. And you can't just always go to something as the neutralizer of an incident or that it's going to resolve something, because it's only going to keep escalating from there. This guy he strikes the security guard with the vehicle. Security guard pulls his gun out at the low ready, which pretty much is at a 45-degree angle. It's almost kind of like a presentation of force. And so he finds himself getting locked up in jail over this. I was just like looking at it with my professional lens. I would say I give you a number of problems here. What's going on? The security guard, he's not. If you look at his uniform, he's wearing all black and tactical. That's a problem. The patch is really small, and it doesn't resemble anything with reference to a professional security force. I think the vibe or the message they're trying to send is the lethality, and probably not a good thing when you're doing traffic control. No vest, no traffic vests, no cones, no flags, and no vehicle with flashing yellow lights or something to show that some kind of traffic control is occurring. So the person that hit him could get away with saying that he's just some honest, innocent bystander that's just driving along and sees a black man. And I'll tell you, people are very racist nowadays and have been, especially in that part of Florida. So I could see him saying something like that and saying that he was in fear of his life, or started, using all these legal jargons versus knowing, because the guy, when you see the videos, you should look at the videos from that incident in Margate, Florida, because it looks like he's from the area. He's a resident. He knows that the kids are coming out of school. So it appears that he's just one of those people that want to instigate, want to cause problems for his personal benefit, whether it be because he doesn't like the Jewish school, or he doesn't like the security company, or he doesn't like his being caught up in traffic. Whatever his reason is, he's got an attitude. But the security guard didn't help the situation by presenting the firearm as a way of de-escalating. So a lot of problems. And then, as a owner of a security organization and founder of Citizen Guard Agency, I would actually tell the client, look, if you need somebody to perform traffic control, it's going to be something different. It's going to be a little bit more. I'm not going to do that for free. And I'm not going to put my people in a situation, my guards in a situation where that they're going to be at risk. They're there to protect the lives of those school students and staff. Um, Traffic control is a separate deal that requires a vehicle and it requires all this extra equipment in order to provide the services. And also looking at how their uniform was, I would say the uniform is way off. I mean, even though it's cool to have solid colored uniforms, but what is the message that's being delivered by a all black uniform? What is it? What is the message? So now let's put this into other context. The police department, they perform looks like a thorough investigation, but they're at fault as well because they know about this traffic problem. The police department in that city, Margate, but they won't do nothing about it. They allowed this incident to occur. If you think about it, it's like this enabling behavior by not doing the right thing. Really simple. If I was working patrol as a police officer or supervisor, there's nothing wrong with driving up there and standing by for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes so traffic can normalize, so you can avoid the escalation of road rage or other incidents as a result of these little kids and family members leaving the school property. But they don't do it. And in fact, I've seen this everywhere, not just in Florida. I've seen this in other parts of the country where local law enforcement don't want to get involved or provide security or traffic control or even a presence when families are leaving schools or when they're coming to schools. They avoid the schools. It's almost like it's lunchtime or break time right around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and very unless they are tasked and that's actually their job, like school police, you will not find law enforcement, local law enforcement, getting actively involved with helping with traffic issues or even showing a presence. And I've seen this I'm telling you, I've seen this everywhere. So we know this is a problem, but in our country here in the United States, we allow it, we enable it. The politicians overlook it, and they're scared. They're scared to tell their law enforcement, "Hey, we want you to. Can you guys help out with traffic? Can you help out? Make sure those kids don't get hit when they get off the bus." Some counties, and I don't know if you've seen, there are like some sheriffs out there that are actively really getting involved. Like they're actually doing these sting operations to stop people from running over kids when they get off buses. But it's more than that, because I'll tell you what, that guy that struck the security guard with his vehicle, whether he thinks or says that it's all this other legal stuff, that he was in fear for his life, you know what? Just looking at it as a normal person, I would say that he got away with hitting somebody with his car and then blaming it on the guy because he has a rifle. And had that been a police officer he struck with his car or a federal agent, he would have probably either been arrested or dead. Because in today's age, we have seen most recently in the past months that it's likely that they'll be labeled. If you hit somebody, specifically a law enforcement officer, with your vehicle, you'll be labeled as weaponizing your vehicle, and they will take that as a threat or as that you actually intentionally did that. And like I said, most recently, people have died as a result of it. So let's think about this, folks. This security guard, I would say that his actions are admonishable, but given the preponderance of issues or things that are going on right now with reference to firearm safety, law enforcement and security getting involved when it comes to vehicles, and how specifically the federal government has normalized agents shooting people in vehicles and saying that the vehicle was weaponized or that they moved their vehicle in a direction, that's why they shot them. I could see where these critical errors, these termination of careers, as it involves not just security but law enforcement in the future, I could see where this is going, and it's a cultural thing. And so I don't know what you guys think, but my personal opinion is that we gotta solve these issues. We don't you don't treat the symptom. You use the symptom to treat the actual problem, and the problem here is people are hiring private schools, or schools are hiring private security. There is no coordination, and if there is, it's very little. The schools are not still protected, and these private security guards are on their own for the most part, and they are not provided the proper resources. And when I talk about resources, they're not getting resources from the company they work for, the community they work around, and their client. And their client has exceeded expectations for what they want them to do. And I think that's unfair. And the only way of resolving this issue is really looking at as far as where are we going with this, as far as school security and the implementation of armed guards on security property. Excuse me, I digress. On school property, that results in these incidents that should not be occurring. Share your thoughts. I think it's worth talking about, not only with me, but talk with your peers. I think that ultimately, as you start going down this rabbit hole of issues, you start looking at the fact that a lot of schools in the U.S. are built. They were built in great places, but the community has grown around the location, and there's always and consistently traffic problems and parking issues at schools and school property. And so the SebTed, the security mindset with reference to design and architecture is garbage, is shit. And then the other part of this is, if you're gonna hire people to provide safety and security to your property, then it's only to your property. If you want traffic control, then that's something extra. And maybe you should communicate with your political leaders, the ones that are making you pay all these taxes, and have them provide additional law enforcement support during high traffic times to ensure the safety of your students and family members and staff. And the third part of this is that training for security guards is garbage still to this date. We need some kind of national security guard act to make certain that these security guards are receiving enough training to understand objective reasonableness and bring it, really iron in the consequences of situations like this, so then they don't ruin their lives or their careers as a result of stupid stuff when they're getting involved with dumb people that are antagonizing them or provoking or escalating a situation that didn't need to be escalated. I think that the guy that drove that car and hit that security guard should also be in jail. But that city of Margate won't do that because prosecutorially they need that victim in order to go after the guy, versus saying, you know what, wait a minute here. This guy struck this guy with this car and this guy. So two bads don't make one good. Anyway, long story short, look forward to what you guys have to say.